Morning, everyone. Welcome to middle of August. Roll call, please.
Carl Eaglin.
Here.
Mayor Courtney.
Here.
Carlo.
Here.
Board, have you had an opportunity to look at the minutes from August 1st? So we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes, previous meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, thanks. Brian, no adjustmts today? No unfinished business. Move into new business. We'll invite Nicole Shell, Director of Building and Planning, up to talk about PACE.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have two extensions for you and one final. The first extension is for Matt Finley for 615 Mulberry Street. He's asking for an 8-month extension. His new deadline would be April 10th, 2023. He's run into some delays because of contractors and materials. And the second extension is for Len Pennington. He's asking for a 1-month extension, making his new deadline October 1st, 2022. That's for 227 West Main Street. This will be the third time he's asked for an extension, but he's only asked for a total of 10 months, so he's still within the requirements.
Both of these apparently are restorations of dilapidated structures, given the
Yes.
dollar amount. So I think it's great to be flexible with them as they're making these improvements. We can take these one at a time.
Oh, you want to do with both the extensions together?
Let's do both of these extensions, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I make a motion, we approve the extensions for 615 Mulberry and 227 West Main Street.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? Comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you.
I have one final for you for 743 West 3rd Street. Catherine Roy completed this tuck pointing painting restoration of her home. It has been completed according to her PACE grant, and her disbursement amount she's requesting is $7,500.
Looks great. It was just the east side?
It was all three sides of her, yes, her half of the
Or half?
duplex.
Okay. Wow, it looks great. Big difference. I'll move that we approve the final installment for 743 West 3rd Street.
Second the mayor's motion.
Any discussion? Comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Nicole, if you wouldn't mind, let me bring Jim and Aaron up for the River Fest request, please,
Yep.
and maybe get them at the top of the agenda, since we have quite a few other things, and we're going to do a demo of
Yep.
OpenGov.
That's no problem.
Happy to invite Aaron and Jim up to talk about Riverfest, which is this weekend.
It's here. Thank you. You want me to- So we are just requesting an extension of using Ruler parking lot for the event weekend.
Okay. So as part of the original resolution, we have the street closures as well as the parking lot at Vaughn and Drive. And your request is for us to also allow you to use the parking lot on our city property at the old Ruler grocery store. So you can segregate that for, is it mixed use? I mean, VIP, handicap, and volunteers?
Yes,
Okay.
that's it exactly. Kind of looking at what we used last year, I keep saying I'd kind of peel layers back here, and it looks like we're going to need that this year. Saturday, I do have plans that if it's not being used, we're just going to open it up so it can be for use then too.
Okay. So again, remind us what dates. I mean, is it Friday and Saturday? Reserve it, but if you don't need it, you're just going to open it up?
Correct,
So we'll-
August 19th and August 20th.
Okay, so I make a motion that we approve amending that resolution to include the Ruler parking lot to give them the control over that for August the 18th and 19th.
I have a question. This parking will be free parking. It's not parking, it's all free parking.
That will be our overflow parking area. We're hoping just to use and try to get everybody just using the Jefferson and Vaughn area. So yeah, that will be our overflow, is the handicap and the
There'll
VIP.
be no charge for this parking?
No.
Okay,
Good question.
that's my
Thank
only
you.
question.
Do we have a second on the motion?
I'll second the mayor's
Okay.
motion.
Will that lot be policed?
We're gonna have the fiberglass barricades, is that what we were talking?
At this stage of the game, our plan there is to barricade it with fiberglass barricades, and then if it's not needed, and we'll determine that into the evening, then we'll open it up. I know that there's a lot of activity there on Mulberry Street that uses that parking lot unofficially, and so if we don't need it, we will open it up and let the public use it. But we don't at this moment have plans to put personnel there to police it.
Just,
Yeah, you and I both know there
We-
will be people
moving the
moving
barricades.
barricades.
yeah.
So we will be checking on it periodically. We're not gonna call a wrecker for anyone,
Okay.
but we will be checking it periodically to put the barricades back. But we don't at this moment intend to put volunteers on those gates. Our hope frankly is that we don't need it, but last year there was enough handicap parking, and the ticket sales this year are better than last year. So our fear is that we may come up short on handicap parking, and of course, volunteer parking is always an issue.
I'll second the mayor's motion.
Any discussion? Comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thanks, looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, we appreciate it.
You're here.
Make sure this will be on the list.
Okay, sounds good, Aaron.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you. Thank you, Jim. Okay, moving on. Nicole will come back up and we'll do the demo for OpenGov. Actually, Nicole, would you mind if we did the street closure and event plan for Wheels on the Water first, and maybe that way you won't have to sit through the OpenGov demo if you don't want to. How are you? Good morning. Okay. Yep.
This is resolution number 42B-2022, resolution of Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, regarding street and parking lot closings for Wheels on the Water. Whereas requested by Tammy, I'm gonna butcher that last name, Schwagmeyer, on behalf of Thornton's Motorcycle Sales for street and parking lot closings for said group in connection with the Wheels on the Water to be held on Saturday, September 10th and Sunday, September the 11th, 2022. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that Vaughn Drive between Broadway Street and Mill Street shall be closed from 12 p.m. Saturday, September 10th through 6 p.m. Sunday, September the 11th. Be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the following streets and parking lots shall be closed on Sunday, September the 11th, from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Vaughn Drive between the west side of West Street and the east side of Mill Street. Elm Street from First Street to south to Vaughn Drive. Broadway Street from the entrance to the Brown Gym south to Vaughn Drive. Poplar Street and Central Avenue from the chain link gates south to Vaughn Drive, and the city parking lot between Poplar Street and Central Avenue.
Hi, Tammy. Tell us a little bit about the event and how many years Thornton's been sponsoring this in the community.
This would be the 5th year. It'll be the first year that we have worked with another organization. We had somebody from, it's called HugeSwapMeets.com, that they do swap meets of vintage motorcycle parts. And they approached us early in the year wanting to know if they could work with us. And what they want to do is to take a section of the street at the end of our bike show and put up a few vendors that will sell, old bike parts. So hopefully we'll draw a little bit more crowd for us and vice versa for them. So that's the only thing that's different. And the vendors for the swap meet portion, they want to be able to set up on Saturday. We don't do anything on Saturday. Ours is all just Sunday for the bike show. But the other organization wanted the street closures for Saturday for that couple block section.
And so, and I did have a question about the vendor layout. Where would the vendors be? And, you know, the reason I'm asking is primarily for any type of emergency vehicle, keeping Vaughn Drive, you know, clear enough for emergency vehicles to come through.
They'll be
But
off to the sides, just like our bikes are. I mean, there'll
Okay.
be a path wide enough. So they would be, my eyes are terrible, excuse me. It would be, we use from Broadway to Elm typically.
Okay.
And so they would be the next block going west from there, is where they would have their vendors set up.
Okay.
And this is a free event for the public,
Yes.
so just $10 registration.
Yeah, if you wanna bring a bike and put it into the show, you'd pay a registration fee. We charged $10 last year, and we did, a split the pot and gave half of it to, House of Hope. And then the folks that win the other half, last year they gave it to House of Hope also, so,
Right.
it turned out well. We do some t-shirt sales of the bike show shirt, and, we give, part or all of the proceeds. Last year we gave all the proceeds to a charity. So this year I'm thinking of doing, the animal shelter.
Animal shelter would be a great cause. And I know it's in two places. One said Animal Shelter, one said Humane Society.
Yes, I got a call on that. I apologize.
Yep.
The animal shelter is what I meant.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Mistyped the other places. where it said
Fantastic.
Humane.
Where's the central registration area, and are there any advanced registrations, or do they show up and kind of like the Rat Rods car show, they can come in and come down
Yeah, we
Broadway to
do
register?
Advanced registrations on the website, and we rarely have hardly any that advance register. I think last year I had 6 or 7. Everybody just shows up. It's how they just show up and register there on the spot.
Okay.
It's where most of them come from.
And that would be on Broadway, or just right
That will be, on Vaughn, but right at the corner there of Broadway. Is where we
Okay.
put it last year, and I'm assuming that's what we'll do again. We'll just put a tent up and put it out on the street.
Okay. This is probably just a clarification, but on the event plan, it said city facilities and parks requested. I think what you really mean is the spaces in front of these parks, Crystal Beach, Kiwanis Park, and
Yes.
Lamplighter.
Yes.
It's not the parks themselves, it's just
Right,
the
we won't
spaces in
use
front of the parks, okay?
It's just the street in
Okay.
front.
How many people do you estimate you had, you know, on average last year?
Probably around 1,000 each year.
Good, okay.
I mean, counting the people that are there with their bikes and the ones that come through just to look.
And are there any food vendors there as well?
We will have this year, and we have in the past, other than last year. Last year I had somebody that said they would show up and did not. It
Okay.
was very frustrating.
Yeah.
So this year I've got a couple lined up that both say they will be there. One is Pocalanas, and the other one is the taco truck that's out by Restorers. They say
Yeah.
that they're gonna bring a stand
Okay.
of some kind.
Both very good, okay. And I know that Hannah has already reviewed the event plan for us, and she may have talked with you too, and thank you for putting all this together, we really appreciate it. We're continuing to kind of evolve a little bit on the event plans. I have some thoughts to bring to the board at a later date of just how to continue to streamline this. The plans are getting better and better and more organized. And it's very helpful for us to know exactly what you're doing, and, you know, also encourage you to meet with our, if you haven't already, street department, chief of police, just for traffic management. An event this size, you shouldn't have any issues, but just alerting them that the event is occurring so that they can provide resources that may be needed is helpful too.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, we approve the, Wheels on the Water. I believe is number 42B resolution.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any discussion? Any comments or questions? Is there any music? Oh,
September 11th.
and then the swap meet will be the afternoon of the 10th, perhaps?
No,
Oh.
they're just setting up.
Oh, they're just setting up,
It'll be the
okay.
same day, it'll be Sunday, everything happens Sunday.
Is there any music, Tammy, associated with this?
In the past, I have had, Ken Washer, he and, his other fellow's name just left me, but anyway, they
Bobby.
would come and, yes, and they've come and just
Oh,
done,
set up
canned
for the
music,
music, okay,
yeah.
gotcha, okay.
Okay.
I was, you really, Yeah, you really piqued my attention when you said, yes, Kenny Washer is going to come down and perform. Any comments or questions, any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Tammy, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for supporting our community, too. Now we're back to contract with OpenGov. Nicole, thank you. Okay, let's move on then, and we'll, Chief Wallace is here to talk about SOP 30.
Nicole's had such a wicked pace, it's hard to keep up with her, but I appreciate her letting me jump in here. We do have some meeting with some citizens up at, on Hannah Drive here shortly, so needed to vacate earlier. Yeah, my request is for SOP 30, change under procedures, letter C, which is a part of our take-home car program. It currently reads, any officer living outside of Jefferson County with the permission of the chief or assistant chief who participates in the program must live in the 5 surrounding counties. Officers living in these counties outside of Jefferson County are only allowed to operate the vehicle for department business or driving to and from work. In other words, if they live outside of our county, they can't run to their local Walmart or grocery store or whatever it may be. It's just strictly to and from work. The reason why I request this change is state statute now allows a police officer to live even outside of the state. So technically, we could have an officer driving up into Ripley and Dew in one particular case, or Jennings County, but couldn't drive across the bridge to Milton. So I felt that with the statute changing, it was probably time to change this to the following. Any officer living outside of Jefferson County with permission of the chief or assistant chief may participate in the program. Officers living outside of the Jefferson County are only allowed to operate the vehicle for department business, driving to and from work. So it would essentially just remove the 5 surrounding counties and basically, and kind of, I think, as Mayor and I spoke about this earlier, kind of narrows it down to.
It does narrow it down.
With just the chiefs and the and assistant chiefs' permission to take it outside of the county if you live outside of Jefferson County.
Chief, as we talked about, and I'm sure the board will agree, there's a lot of benefit for our officers to live in the city of Madison.
Absolutely.
Because of the visibility that they bring to the community. But we certainly understand that recruiting sometimes can be very tough, and this gives you some flexibility, but I like the way, what you've proposed here.
Yeah, it can be very tough, and I would hate to lose a seasoned veteran officer if they did choose to, say, move across the bridge or whatever it may be, just, for a policy issue. When, if we trust them to come in and police our city, we give them guns and swear them in, and so if we can't trust them to drive it across the bridge or drive it to, to and from to participate in this program, then they probably shouldn't be here. So if we ever would have that issue, then we would certainly address it accordingly. But like I said, I'd hate to lose a quality officer just on a technicality or the way one of our SOPs is worded. So that's why I felt the need to change that.
You had a police merit board meeting, I think, last week.
Yes, and I will bring this forward
Okay.
to them after.
Yeah.
With the approval.
It's nice to get their input on things.
Yes, absolutely. And if you guys would, choose for me to wait, then I will be glad to bring it to them next meeting and bring it back to you, or.
I'm fine taking action on this today, if that's okay with the board.
I make a motion, we approve the SOP-030.
I'll second that. Approve the amendment.
Yes.
We have a motion and a second to approve the amendment to SOP 030 with regard to take-home department vehicle use.
Chief,
Comments or questions?
do you have any officers that this would pertain to currently, or is this in anticipation of?
You're right, in
Happening.
anticipation, yes. Yeah.
We have one opening now, I believe, don't we?
We do, yes, sir.
It's been advertised. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Chief, thank you.
Thank you, Board.
Keep up good work, Chief. Chief? Did you say you have to leave to go to another meeting, or can you stick around for a little bit?
Some citizens up on Hannah Drive with their request regarding walking tracks.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Well, I think Mr. Ricketts is here to maybe perhaps talk about alley issue, and didn't know if you could stick around for a few. Doesn't? Okay, okay. Okay, we'll follow up with you. Thank you. Nicole?
I have just a short video showing the new platform, and then I can, I have a longer video available.
There's Charlie.
But we'll go ahead and show the shorter one and go from there.
Okay. Want to give a little background real quick?
Yes. So as you know, we currently have iWork as a permitting platform for the City of Madison's Planning, Preservation and Design Department. Over the course of the last year, we've ran into several issues with that platform, including not being able to run reports as needed, and our applications not coming in separated as we need. Right now, they are working to try to separate our applications, but they haven't been able to do so. So when somebody submits their application online, it comes into the office with every single one of our applications on one form, which is not convenient for staff. And it's gotten to the point where it's very complicated to figure out from an internal point of view what application had been filed. So we reached out to 3 different vendors outside of iWork to look at their platforms. All of those 3 vendors were used by other communities in Indiana. We're recommending to switch to OpenGov. There are several agencies in Indiana who use this. One of the largest is the City of Fishers. They've had it for several years. I spoke with their director of planning, and she actually just recently moved to Fishers from Indianapolis, who has one of the other vendors we looked at and highly recommended OpenGov. So I'll play the video and then I'll kind of explain more in depth.
When local governments and individuals work side by side, communities thrive. Like when a business owner applies for a license to open a bakery, or a new homeowner requests a building permit to renovate their house. But in many communities, applicants face long lines and confusing requirements, all while government staff struggle with inefficient processes and outdated tools. That's why there's OpenGov Citizen Services, a modern software suite that helps applicants and city staff put their time to good use, allowing them to redesign and accelerate their community's processes for permitting, licensing, and inspections. Contractors, residents, and business owners can go online to see a list of requirements for their project by taking a simple survey or by selecting an application type. They can submit forms, pay fees, track progress, message reviewers, and receive or renew their permits and licenses all online. These applications are then routed and assigned to the relevant staff members, streamlining the approvals process across departments. Government staff can reference important GIS layers to better understand the permit application location, such as whether it is in a flood zone or a historic district. Any further improvements to the application review process can be easily implemented by staff using OpenGov's drag and drop interface. No coding or technical expertise required. Inspectors and code enforcement officials can also manage inspection requests, attach photos, leave comments for applicants, and log results in real time on site using a smartphone or tablet. With fewer trips to City Hall and up to 5 times faster application processing speeds, applicants and government staff can focus less on tedious processes and focus more on making their communities thrive. Join over 1,000 governments across the country using the OpenGov Cloud to power more effective and accountable government and transform your online services. Power every permit, license, and inspection with user-friendly workflows with OpenGov Citizen Services.
So that's kind of the rundown. So many of the things that OpenGov is going to help us with is automating our process. iWork has been great on taking us from 100% paper to partially digital, but it's not gotten us to the step that we need to be. Right now, our office has to manually put in all the information and then manually assign each case to the proper person, where this will be implemented where it will automatically do that. We'll just have to enter the application information versus all the other steps. But this platform can also be used by other departments outside of our department, including the communications office for dealing with the event permits, and then even we could go as far as adding different platforms for work such as road cuts, potholes, that kind of thing. So I think as far as the cost comparison goes, this is in line, similar to other platforms. This was in the middle of the 3 platforms we looked at, but in line with what we're needing. And I can stop here and answer any questions, then we can go into more detailed.
When does the contract with iWork, when does that end?
So the contract with iWork ends in October. We're hoping to have this up and running so that there's no delay in our services for customers.
Does the county right now and Hanover both use iWork?
Yes, and I can tell you the county at least is not happy with iWork. They ran into similar issues that we did.
I talked to Mike Pittman, who's the county surveyor, and they're running the same issues.
Could there be a chance down the road then that they could change to OpenGov?
Yeah, there could be.
Here's the implication, and that is, and Nicole mentioned, we were completely paper-driven a little over a year ago. So we spent all the time trying to merge onto a cloud-based platform like iWork and what OpenGov is to give us greater capabilities. One of the things that is on council's agenda tomorrow night is the 3rd reading of some changes in our fee structure, but there are 97 different types of, almost 100 different types of applications that the community can file for through building and planning. That has to be managed in a really organized way. Plus, as you know, code enforcement is really important to us. We've invested resources in code enforcement so that we can, bring some consistency and clarity to that entire process. iWork helped us kind of make that leap from a very paper-driven process to one that's more organized and more user-friendly, that also has point of sale attached to it. But now it's time to continue to migrate with what we've learned and how to really bring some even a greater efficiency to building and planning, because they handle a tremendous amount of volume throughout the community for different permitting and economic development related activity. And we need a good, reliable platform that not only is user-friendly, but also we can get information out of. And that's been one of our inhibiting factors with iWork, is getting proper information to manage from.
In the contract, would also include the training?
Yes, the contract includes training. The benefit of this platform is once we're trained, we'll be able to do almost everything by ourselves. Currently, we don't have that capability with iWork. If we make even the slightest change to our application, we have to send it to them, and it's a couple of weeks to get it processed through their software.
And you mentioned that someone in the field can have a tablet or use the iPhone. How you decided to go with tablets?
So both our code enforcement officer and our building inspector already have tablets.
Okay.
The code enforcement officer uses it already out on site. Since Landon's newer to the position, he hasn't taken that step yet. But this platform, I think, will be easier to use it because it's integrated to be able to do that.
Okay.
Are there any applications that we need that we're not getting in this migration, or do you think that it's comprehensive enough to where, we're getting the modules that we need, for example, so that we're not part paper, part part digital. We really need to kind of go all in my opinion.
Yeah, I believe this platform is the correct one for that reason. Right now, we don't have the ability to take online payments. All of the PACE information through our office is still paper, but this has a grant platform. It has a processing for online and credit card payments. So at least for my office use, it would take our entire department
Good.
out of paper.
And the important thing here too is that we need to make an investment in doing these things. It's a change, but overall, we're gonna get a lot of efficiency out of this. And I know that, remember, there's also several boards that are participating through Building and Planning, Historic Board Review, the PACE Grant Committee, Plan Commission, BZA, those are just a few, and they can all benefit as well because of the efficiency that we're creating in the Building and Planning Department.
Yeah, the great thing about this platform is on the customer end, once they submit their application, whether it's them doing it or the staff putting it in on our end, they'll be able to log in and see exactly where in the review process their applications are. So like, for example, if you're downtown, you're in a flood zone, it will have all those different steps listed and you won't have to guess which steps you have to go through.
I like the fact that it's connected to GIS too, because we also manage the buffer zone. So there's a layer in GIS that says whether or not, where you are, zoning-wise too. Does it link up to what the regulations are? So will they be able to kind of get to, if someone decides they want a building permit, for example, will there be a link perhaps to the zoning ordinance or building codes?
I'm not sure on that. It's definitely something we can look into. There's different tags that you can add to each property, so that may be one where we can
Yeah,
add a
because if you're in
tag
the
that
historic
takes
district
people.
board review and you're researching, you find out you need a C of A, well, what are the HDBR design guidelines?
Yeah.
For example, or the survey, the historic survey that we're doing. So we're investing a lot of money elsewhere. It seems like that this is a natural thing to also invest in, the transactional side of the business.
To get this going in October, is that enough time?
It's gonna be tight. It's gonna take a lot of legwork from my team, but we've all committed to doing that because we do believe that this is the better platform. Worst comes to worst, we'll go to spreadsheets just temporarily, but we want to get at least all of our incoming stuff up and running by October. It may be a little later for all of our historic data.
Any additional questions?
So what kind of a contract are you proposing?
So it's a 5-year contract with iWork. It's splitting the implementation cost.
OpenGov, you mean?
OpenGov,
yep.
yes, sorry.
Yep.
Going from iWork to OpenGov. It's a 5-year contract with OpenGov, splitting the implementation over 2 years. And then you should have a cost breakdown on, it's a 2-sided sheet. I believe I presented that, but it's roughly $30,000 for 2022 and $33,000 for 2023. And then it drops significantly from there because we don't have an implementation cost.
Okay. So we're gonna once we do the initial migration, the cost is gonna be very similar to what we did with iWork, or had
Yes.
incurred annually with iWorks.
Yes, right now our iWork contract is $12,000 a year. This is about 19 to 20, but we don't have that online payment process. That was gonna be additional cost with iWork.
And any updates and those kind of things, will they handle the cost of that, or is that something that we have to?
So they'll automatically do our GIS updates from the county.
So if the
But
floodplain would change? they
any
would
of
do-
that, we could send to them and they could do that. That's part of the contract, yes. But we can make modifications ourselves if needed.
Sounds like a way to go, I guess. You're gonna be happy with it. So I make a motion, we approve the contract then for OpenGov.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion, comments, or questions? Yes, sir? Please come to the podium, and we'd love to hear from you.
No, I just wondered, employee-wise, all the electronic stuff
Good question. Thanks, Shelby.
Yeah, it shouldn't affect the number of employees we have. It's just gonna help our processes be more transparent to the public.
So I want to address that for a second too, because what it's allowing us to do is more with the same amount of people. We made a big investment in building planning because it literally touches just about everything that's happening across our community. We had identified weaknesses where we didn't have proper resources. And just like in the Parks Department, the technology is giving us a platform to where the data is more accessible. It's out on the cloud. It's not manually handled, but it also allows us to do more with the existing staff and get information out. That's one of our weaknesses too, is being able to get good management information, which has been a problem. We have a motion and a second. Any additional comments or questions? All in favor, please say all in favor to approve the contract with OpenGov and authorize the mayor to sign the contract. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Cole, thanks. Move on to claims.
Mayor had an opportunity to review the claims, and I'll make a motion that the claims be approved as submitted.
Okay.
I'll second David's motion.
Any comments, questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thanks. Let's just go to public comment first, and maybe I'll do mayor's comments afterwards. Anybody here would like to address the Board of Public Works? Please come to the podium and name and address and give us, share with us what's on your mind. Morning, Mr. Ricketts.
Good morning. Hi, Dave, Carl. My name's Charles Ricketts. I live at 707 West First Street.
Okay.
And today I'm here to talk about alleys.
Okay.
As you all know, Madison has an extensive network of alleys, and we're to be proud of those and protect them because a lot of towns don't have those. Today, I'd like to talk about a particular alley, and that's the one that's behind my house. I'm not sure where to start, but to give you a little background, the alley was platted in 1848, and all subsequent plats at the courthouse show that alley still in existence, and it's platted at 12 feet in width. When I built my house in 2017, my lot was surveyed and the northern boundary line of the alley was established, at which time I put in a stone curb to designate that north boundary line. Since that time, the lot next door to me was sold and it was surveyed, and the north boundary line of that lot coincided with mine, so there was no discrepancy there. However, on my survey, which was dated May 17, 2017, by Pettit Associates, the surveyor noted when he surveyed my lot that the Lanthier Winery, which he also surveyed back in July 20th, 95, when the winery was purchased. He noted that none of the 5/8 rebars that were set when he surveyed it were found. And he also noted that excuse me, improvements and landscaping extend beyond the boundary line shown. So one has to assume that the stakes were all moved when the winery was surveyed, since the same surveyor could not find his own stakes. At present, the south side of the alley is compromised to the extent of about 4 feet. So you have maybe 8 feet to get through there. There's large stones about the size of your fist paving part of the alley, which makes it very difficult for regular vehicles to drive across. And with the alley only squeezed down to around 8 feet. People drive up on my property in order to get through there, if they get through at all. Some of them just turn around and leave. So my request is that the alley be opened up to its proper width, and that the items that belong to the winery be removed. I estimate that they have about 1.5 acres of property there. So I don't see any need for them to have to use the alley for their compost bins, their creek rock piles, their brick storage. You come down and look at it, you'll see what I'm talking about. Plant beds, rotten pieces of trees to hold back the mulch. So that's my request as far as opening the alley up. And if the board pleases, I would also like to request that the alley be given a name, and I would suggest that it be called Miller's Alley in recognition of a Miller lumber mill, which is historic in nature and more than likely over 150 years old. And it is a real asset to the community in that all the boat people that come here walk down there from History Center to visit that, as well as a lot of people from out of state. So it's truly one of our historic structures. And I think it would be fitting if the alley would be named after that. So,
I've been down there, and I agree with you 100%. There's a lot of infringement on that alley.
I have taken the liberty of taking some orange paint and outlining where I think the alley should be. If you would like to walk down there and walk through it and see just what it is.
I will.
Mr. Ricketts, does the alley go straight across
Yes,
from
Mill Street to Vernon,
Mill Street
or I'm sorry, Plum.
to Plum Street? Is
Yeah.
it straight, or does it, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out, I know where you're talking about on the lengthier side, but over on the Lumber Mill Antique Mall side, does it just go straight across what they use as rear parking as well?
Yeah.
It doesn't, I mean, I'm really asking, the building's not encroaching at all on the alley, is it?
The lumber mill building,
Yes,
I have heard that it is encroaching on it. They didn't have the tools to survey things properly
okay,
back then, and I think it encroaches upon the alley.
okay.
But the alley, I believe, at that point, it was designated as 20 feet in width from my property on over to Plum Street.
Okay. And you have you have parking in the
I have
rear of your home?
Parking on my property.
Okay.
So Charlie, you're saying from your property west to Plum Street, the alley is platted at 20 feet?
I believe so, yes.
And then,
I don't think that shows on my plat, but
east of your property, it's platted
from my
at 12
property
feet?
from my property to Mill Street is 12 feet,
And is that from the east side or west side of your property?
from the west side.
From the west side of your
The
property?
entire length of my property,
Is 12
plus
feet?
what used to be the coal company property.
Okay.
And that's all that I could find on all the plats that I went through with Mrs. O'Connor up at the courthouse. Like I say, that goes back to 1848.
Are there many vehicles that use that alley that you're concerned about, Mr. Ricketts?
Not presently. A lot of them use the half behind the lumber mill because it's accessible.
Yeah, for the,
I've had people come through there and, like I say, they drive up on my properties so that they don't have to chance getting into something on the south side.
okay.
I failed to mention there is a building on the south side that's 18 inches into the property, and it's, the corner posts are set in concrete.
Okay.
It kind of looks like an outhouse, but I think it's just storage.
Okay. I agree with you. We love our alleys. They are all in various different conditions and state, I would say, and used very differently. Some of them are very vehicular heavy, others are mostly pedestrian, and some, are grass still. But they have been platted, but they just have never really been utilized as, moving people or vehicles across the city because of the street platting too.
We have, I would estimate over 600 golf carts running around here.
Mhm.
And they utilize the alleys a lot. And we do get some traffic through there, but like I say, it's kind of hard to drive through there now with the fist-size
Yeah.
gravel that they put in.
Yeah.
And
And-
people are curious, and they like to see the backs of people's houses.
Right,
and
that's
so
true.
forth.
Very
So
true.
it becomes more of an attraction, the easier it is to use.
True. There are other things we're working on in that location. If you don't mind, I'll follow up with our council after the meeting and see if we can't bring some resolution to this too, Mr.
Okay.
Ricketts.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. On the mayor's, anybody else would like to address the board? Charlie, please come.
Also named Charlie, Rolfing.
How you doing?
Nice water bottle, by the way.
Hey, Great event last week,
Third
Charlie.
or fourth. I'm the alley supporter. Charlie called me and said, we're talking about the alleys. I'll make this brief because I think you guys are also alley supporters. But
Yes, sir.
it's a resource that is just a tremendous resource and it's one of those things, once it's gone, it's gone. So we really have to protect it. I make a point of always stopping, talking to tourists and saying what's going on. They're like, what should we do? And I'm like, walk the alleys. And they're
Yeah.
like, really? I'm like, yes, yes. And then I happened to see them later, like at Mad Paddle, and they were like, oh my God, we're so glad that you told us to do that. So the grass ones, the gravel ones,
Right.
I envision someday the grass ones having little signs that say, public alley, please, please use with, keep vehicles out, but you really encourage people to use those. The alley that in question here, I drive through there. It's a cool old alley. It does to your point, it does a little jog.
Kinda jigs a little bit, yeah.
The lumber mill is
Yeah.
hard against which is kind of neat. It does a really cool little jog.
Yeah.
But it's hard, you almost can't get through there now. It is car width. I tried to ride my bicycle through there and got onto those baby hit gravels. So they're encroaching, and it's a shame because they should all stay open. And there's more we can do with those. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlie, for your comments. Appreciate it. Anyone else here would like to address the Board of Public Works? And I echo what Charlie was talking about with regards to some of the best views of downtown Madison are through the alleys, particularly when you're looking at how creatively people use their outdoor spaces. I'm an alley dweller too, as being a downtown kid. Anybody else like to address the board? Not a whole lot for me on the mayor's comments, just that tomorrow is National Night Out, and we will be moving the city council meeting to J.C. Park on the riverfront. The city council will actually be having its meeting outdoors at 5:30, followed by our police department, fire departments, doing a little cookout for the community. So we welcome everybody to J.C. Park for that. I believe it'll be at the Eastern Shelter House area over by the bridge. And that's it for me. Board, do you have anything?
I get a free hot dog tomorrow night?
Yes, sir. Please come down.
I'll be there.
Please come down. Clerk, anything from you?
I will. Good.
Our next meeting will be Tuesday, September the 6th. Monday's Labor Day there, so that will also be the date of our city council meeting after tomorrow. Otherwise, we'll entertain a motion.
to adjourn.
Second that motion.
All in favor?
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thanks, everyone.